Good morning, this is Drew Erickson back again talking about money, not math, because I don't believe the government or the IRS should control our financial future. I believe hardworking people deserve to have more control of their money, more security in retirement, and lose less of taxes unnecessarily. So today I'm going to be reading and reviewing an article from the usnews.com titled 5 Ways the Pandemic is Affecting Retirement Planning. Plus, I'm going to add a couple of things that I believe we have learned or have been reinforced due to the pandemic and what it's caused us to think about planning moving forward. So it's been a tough year, but here's how to get your retirement plan back on track, is what they say. The coronavirus pandemic has been a huge financial strain on Americans as they suffer through furloughs, layoffs, and pay cuts. Some people have stopped or reduced the amount, and I will also add to that lockdowns. Some people have stopped or reduced the amount they are putting in retirement accounts, and others have tapped into a 401k or IRA to help cover bills. This year has been the most stressful period for our clients, says Jeffrey Corliss, Managing Director and Partner at RDM Financial Group at Hightower in Westport, Connecticut. Not only did the market drop, but we have had the pandemic and the social issues. It was a tough year. Here's a look at how the pandemic has impacted retirement planning. Stress levels are high, less saving for retirement, emotional decision-making, forced early retirement, and less spending. Stress levels are extraordinarily high. It's difficult to focus on financial preparations for retirement when you are facing more immediate financial concerns and worried about the future. And I truly believe this is one of, if not the hardest, most challenging aspect of long-term financial planning, is how hard it is to think long-term when there's always stuff in our face, right? Whether it's our kids are sick, our kids need to get to practice, planning for a vacation, buying a new car, dealing with financial stresses. Today, all these different things that happen today are so much easier and more prevalent to think about. They're making it harder to think long-term and create long-term plans. Which is really a difficult thing to do from an emotional standpoint, which is why I'm a huge advocate for having a financial planner and someone who's emotionally independent of your personal financial life. Now, of course, I'm biased because I am a financial planner, but I really do believe that if we can remove the emotion from financial planning through an independent planner, it can really pay off huge dividends. So back to the article. Everybody moved up a rung on the anxiety ladder due to COVID, says PJ Denuzzo, president of Denuzzo Wealth Management in Beaver, Pennsylvania, and author of the 7 Keys to Investing Success. If you came into this with no anxiety and you now have anxiety, if you came into with anxiety, now you have high anxiety. Sticking to an investment plan can be especially difficult at a time when there are wild swings in the stock market. There are so many unknowns and so much uncertainty as to how you will resolve some of these issues, says Greg Hammer, president of Hammer Financial Group in something, Indiana. I can't say that word. People are afraid right now. They are panicked to make big moves. A lot more people are sitting on the sidelines, sitting in cash. And to be honest, there's nothing wrong with sitting in cash. You'll find that a lot of investment advisors believe that if you have money, it should be invested. That's not always true. I believe a holistic financial plan, cash is one proponent of that, and it's extremely important to have, whether it's for an emergency fund or for an opportunity at the right time, whatever it might be. Some cash is a good thing, or at least access to liquidity, use and control, or access to money you have liquidity, use and control of. And one way to think about that is, when is it a good time to have money that's getting 0% rate of return? The answer is when the rest of your money is getting a negative rate of return due to the stock market plummeting. All right, so it's not a good thing to have all of your money invested the exact same way, so it reacts the same way to current events and life circumstances. So having some money sitting in cash is not a bad thing. It's just having good proportions of where you have your money invested is important. So the second point, less saving for retirement. Those who have been furloughed or laid off are not able to take advantage of the automatic deductions or contributions to their workplace retirement accounts. People are not working, so they are not contributing to their 401ks, Hammer says. Even though they are getting unemployment benefits, they are not getting that automatic contribution to their 401k. People don't have discipline to save outside of that structure. I completely disagree with this part. All right. Is less saving for retirement a bad thing? Yes, because the less we save today, the less we're going to have in the future. And as we know, no dollar saved is more valuable than the one we save today because of how compounding works. However, one big issue I take with this paragraph is how they relate to 401ks as if they're the only plan out there for saving. There are so many other tools, strategies, and options for you to save than just your 401k. All right. Are the matches good? Yeah, they're free. But is saving above and beyond the match always the best option? Absolutely not. All right. So keep in mind that you do have the discipline to save outside your 401k. Many people have the discipline to save outside your 401k. Your 401k is not your only option. It is a decent option, but it's not the only option. All right. So have belief in yourself and have the discipline to create a plan that includes other strategies outside your 401k as well, because it is not the only tool available to you, and it's not always the best tool for you. All right, continuing on. Additionally, the CARES Act made it easier for people to take early withdrawals and loans from retirement accounts. What they're referring to there is the CARES Act actually allowed you to withdraw up to $100,000 from your 401k with no penalties or fees up to, I believe, December 31st, 2021. So, and you have up to 3 years to pay back the taxes owed on that withdrawal. How that's different? Well, if you pull $100,000 from your traditional 401k on a normal year, you'd have to pay 10% early withdrawal fees, plus you would owe the taxes due from the deferred contributions. So if you're in a 20% tax bracket, you're going to owe about $20,000 of taxes on that withdrawal because it's traditional 401ks are tax deferred. So what the CARES Act allowed you to do is withdraw the money without the 10% tax penalty, which would equal about $10,000 on a $100,000 withdrawal, plus pay back the, for example, say 20% taxes over a 3-year period, so you don't get a huge tax ding this year. And I believe that's available until December 31st, but you might want to look that up or look at one of my previous videos to find out exactly on that. I don't remember off the top of my head. So people should avoid tapping into their retirement accounts. Hammer says they should watch their spending. If possible, they should start saving as quickly as they can. So he's right. If you have money that's already invested, you're never going to be able to go back in time and invest that money as early as you had. Therefore, your compounding can never be higher for those dollars. So if you can avoid taking that money out of your retirement account, that would be great. But if you don't have any other options, then of course it's not a bad thing, and that's why it was made available to you. Or maybe there's a better option for that money right now because of what's going on in the world today. If you have questions or comments, or if you have questions or concerns on that, absolutely reach out to me and we can dive into your specific situation and what might make the most sense for you. If you need to temporarily stop saving for retirement, it's important to develop a plan to resume contributions when you find work again. If somebody has lost income and isn't making contributions to a retirement plan, it is more important for them to sit down with an advisor, Corliss says. Do an accounting of where you are and what you are spending. Ask if there are things you can do to reduce expenditures and develop a strategy on how to recover when you get back to work. Topic number 3, emotional decision making. Avoid making emotional decisions about your retirement savings and investments. Don't let fear and emotions control your investment decisions. A lot of people are letting that happen, Hammer says. They are making investment changes and getting out of the market. A lot of that is emotions. So this always goes back to, I believe, financial planning, or really any decision making in our lives, comes down to two different strategies: emotional planning and logical planning. All right. Sometimes emotional planning and logical planning mesh up, but oftentimes what may seem emotionally correct is not actually logically or efficiently correct. All right. So whether it's, there's many different topics out there, but in this case, they're talking about reacting emotionally to the market going down. Well, when the market goes down, a lot of people want to pull their money out after it's gone down. You're locking in a loss. That's an emotional decision, not a logical one, especially since that money, won't be used till your retirement anyway. So why not let it come back if it makes sense in that situation? Another one that often comes up is paying off debt versus saving more sooner. Emotionally, a lot of people want to pay off the debt to get rid of those anchors, but logically and efficiently, in many cases, it actually makes more sense to pay minimums on the debt and save more sooner. So there's just many different things out there that emotional and logical don't always mesh. And that's why I believe it's so important to have that independent, that emotionally independent planner by your side. So while you might be immediately need to focus on health crisis or a childcare issue, try to stick to your long-term plan if you can, right? There's the key. We still have to do what makes the most sense for our families to get through the tough times. Ideally, we plan for these things ahead of time, but life doesn't always go as planned, right? So we're going through all kinds of things affecting you mentally as well as financially, Corliss says. At times like this, it's really clear that everybody's financial plan gets sidetracked and blown sideways. It's about sticking to the plan, and that will help you be successful. I think one also very important point here is reminding us why it's so important to build flexible plans. All right, build a financial plan that works for you, but it's also flexible for life events and life changes. All right, so again, they talk about 401ks so much here, and our society talks about 401ks so much. The 401ks are, without the CARES Act, are one of the least flexible planning strategies. All right, you put your money in, it's locked up until you're 59 and a half, and then you get to take out some percentage based off whatever taxes look like at that time, whatever the market looks like at that time, right? So not a whole lot of flexibility. So even though it's a tool, it's not the only tool, and that's why I really encourage my clients to build a plan that's flexible and for you, not only for times of uncertainty, but also for times of opportunity. All right, so the people weathering the crisis best are those with a financial plan. The more time you spend on planning, the less you freak out, Denuzzo says. The more time you spend on quality plan equals less worry and less anxiety. I definitely agree there. So, forced early retirement. Older workers who have lost their job and been unable to find new employment during the pandemic may be forced into retirement years earlier than planned. Those who enter retirement unexpectedly early may be retiring short of their savings goal. Taking Social Security benefits early can cause you to lose out on thousands of dollars in benefits over your lifetime. Less spending. Many people are spending less during the pandemic. They are not traveling and not going out as much, Corliss says. Their expenses have been reduced. If you find that you have extra income due to fewer expenditures on social engagements and entertainment outside the house, consider increasing retirement account contributions. Putting extra funds in a retirement account can qualify you for a tax deduction, and your savings could increase in value during a stock market recovery after the pandemic ends. That last part, keep in mind that if you put more money in a tax-deferred account, yeah, you're getting a tax deduction, but you aren't actually increasing your cash flow, all right? You don't increase the amount of money you have access to. You basically just locked it up so you don't pay taxes this year, but then you have to pay taxes in retirement, all right? So it's a really important point there that I find oftentimes a big sales pitch for tax-deferred accounts is the tax deduction. What they don't talk about is you're not really getting an enhanced cash flow for your life today by doing so, because you do have to lock that money up to get the deduction. All right, so hopefully this conversation was helpful. I highlighted a couple of things throughout that I want to highlight again. First, I truly believe the pandemic has challenged traditional planning strategies like 401ks and reminded us of the importance of saving money in ways that are flexible and that you have access to, so you have liquidity, use, and control for times of uncertainty and for times of opportunity. All right, if your financial plan was set up in such a way that all of your money was locked up in retirement accounts and debt, at the beginning of this pandemic, it was a lot more stressful and will be a lot more stressful moving forward whenever the next unexpected life event hits, than if you had some of your money saved in ways that you maintained access, liquidity, use, and control of. All right, so even if you have money sitting in cash, which there are better options than just sitting in cash, but even if your money is just sitting in cash, when is it better to have a 0% rate of return? When all of your other money is getting a negative rate of return, right? Or when all of your other money is locked up. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. The second thing I think is really important that I haven't talked about yet, but is important to remember, is that protecting your wealth and your family and your business is just as important, if not more, than growing your wealth and growing your business. When it comes to things like COVID, all right, it's so new that we don't know how companies are going to underwrite it. So if you get COVID, I don't know, and I don't think anyone does, how companies like life insurance companies, disability insurance companies, health insurance, not health, because we'll see, but how these different insurance companies are going to underwrite it. I don't know if they'll consider it to be a pre-existing condition. I don't know if it will affect your ability to get coverage. So the longer you wait to protect yourself, the harder it's going to be potentially for you to do so. So I recommend not putting it off. If you can afford it, I recommend not putting off building up emergency funds, protecting your family, protecting your business, and protecting your wealth earlier rather than later. Because even though a lot of people believe that health insurance is a right and pre-existing conditions should be protected, that only works in really the health insurance world. It doesn't work in all the other insurances. In many cases, pre-existing conditions raise your costs, or it can even disqualify you from getting coverage. So today's Money Not Math conversation was, again, reviewing and reading an article from money.usnews.com titled 5 Ways the Pandemic is Affecting Retirement Planning, with some added points for myself. Hopefully today's conversation brought you value. I know there's a lot to unload there, so please reach out to me if you have questions, comments, concerns, or rude remarks. I always appreciate hearing from people who took the time to listen or watch my Money Not Math videos. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, and bye.